Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and it is time for Advent Calendar. Now, I have a new one for this year that's full of sewing notions, but I also have an old one from last year, and I want to show you how I'm going to turn last year's into something that I can use all year round. And one of the new ones this year is from Hemline. So if you like sewing, this is definitely a fun one to receive or a fun one to give. And there's 24 sewing notions in here. It comes in this great box, and when you open the doors, you have a little sewing room. And each one of these boxes will hold sewing notions. They are numbered so we can count down. There is a list on the back of all of the 24 notions that are inside here. We have things as sewing pins, thread, seam rippers, tailor's chalk, all sorts of fun sewing notions that we would use quite commonly in sewing. So this is definitely going to be a fun Advent calendar for sewing this year. So let's take a peek inside one of these boxes. And I do like number 3, so let's see what number 3 has. A really cute tomato pincushion. And on the end of tomato pincushions, you'll notice these little pincushions. The little ends have emery in them, and that emery helps sharpen your needles. So this will definitely be a fun number 3 to open. So let's just put that back in there. And let's try 23. 23. Oh, a new thimble. So this is just an idea of some of the things in here. And I'm not going to go through them all because that's just going to ruin the surprise. Now, this was gifted to me by my friend Rita, but I did want to share it with you. Now, last year, the Advent calendars were a little bit different. They came in great heavy boxes. And when you opened the boxes, they had all these beautiful drawers. They came empty. That way you could load them, or the stores could load them. You could get these for sewing. You could also get them for knitting. And these are made really, really well. So I'm going to take the one that I have from last year and turn it into something that I can use every year. And not only for Christmas. These boxes were so nice, I do not want to waste them. So I'm going to cover the box with some sticky paper. You can now get this paper, and it has a sticky back to it. You can get all sorts of colors, sparkles, and different textures. So I'm going to take this beautiful sparkly one and cover my box. Because the box has a beautiful finished edge to it, I'm not going to wrap the entire box. I'm going to put and cut my paper so it fits just about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So I will see a little bit of this beautiful red poking out. So I'm going to take a measurement, transfer that measurement onto my paper, and cut it out. If you like, you can really cut this paper so that you can see the center or just see a center red. You could also cut the paper so that the bow is going to show through. I'm going to cover it all because I'm going to put this on my shelf like a big book. I find the easiest way to work with this paper is a little bit at a time. So I'm going to peel off a little bit on the bottom and just expose a little bit along the bottom and fold that paper out of the way. Before I stick that bottom on, I'm going to line up the paper on the entire top. Make sure that the edges are correct and that I like the position of it. Once I have that position that I like, I can smooth down that bottom. So slowly I'm going to peel off the paper, and with my hand on the other side, I'm going to rub this down. So I'm going to rub to make sure it's flat and then continue peeling. By doing a little piece at a time, I'm going to be able to make sure that it lays flat and that I have no bubbles. And just smooth that out and peel the paper off at the same time. By cutting that paper a little bit smaller, we are going to see a little bit of that red border. So I have all of the sides done in my box. Now when I open it up, I need to work on the inside. If you're going to work on this project with a child, they could cover this entire box with stickers that they like. Then it would definitely be more personal for a child's advent calendar. They could count down to their birthday, someone's wedding, a special occasion. And you don't always have to put treats inside. We could always put a nice little note inside. But I will be using this for my sewing room, so I don't mind adding just a little bit more of this pretty paper. The outside of my box is all finished, and that inside cover is now done. I could cover all of these little boxes, but I don't mind all of the colors, even though some of them do appear more Christmas winter. I'm okay with the colors. Now, if I'm going to use this as an advent calendar, I would definitely leave the numbers. But I'm going to be using it as storage in my sewing room because these little boxes are perfect for storing small notions like snaps, grommets, small buttons, eyelets, all sorts of things. But I will need to know what's in the boxes. So I'm going to label those little boxes with peel and stick labels. By not seeing numbers, it does look more like a storage area. Now I can take all of these little things, like my little grommets, my little eyelets, my little animal eyes and noses, and fill up all of these boxes. It's definitely going to be a lot easier to find than going through that box. And it definitely looks a lot nicer. So this will now fit nicely on my shelf. And it barely takes up any room at all. Now we could reuse it for special occasions, for children, but in my case, I have refinished it to go into my sewing room. And this year's Advent calendar is going to be a lot of fun to open up. I'll put a link in the description to this year's Advent calendar for sewing. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're talking about and remaking next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.